So hello everyone. My name is Luna Lee, and I am ZMUni's Chinese Compliance Manager in the UK. And thank you so much for joining this webinar today. Well, let me just remind you that you can add comments and questions on the chat during this webinar, okay? Okay, let's get started. So today we are going to talk about how to register cosmetic products in China. So on the 1st of May, 2021, which is this year, new regulations came into effect and everything changed. The new rules opens up some great opportunities for you, but also introduce new pitfalls. Well, the internet now makes it easier. Sorry, just a moment. Makes it easier than ever for companies of all sizes, like big or small, doesn't matter, to reach the world's second largest cosmetic market. Well, if you, like our clients, you have cosmetic products and are looking forward to entering the Chinese market, cosmetic market, currently valued at about $17 billion, and would like to do so quickly and easily complying with all local regulations, then ZMUni is your partner of choice. We have been helping companies like yours who have come to us and with our help have seen their products selling off the shelves in China within as little as 3 months. Well, first, let me take a couple of minutes to introduce ZMUni. So here are a few things about us. We are a medium-sized company founded in 2018. And we have been working with over 1,000 customers to successfully bring over more than 10,000 different cosmetic products to market. And we are particularly proud that our pass rate is 98%, which is way above the industry standard. So usually, typically, it's about 85 to 90%, okay? And ZMUni have 4 branches in mainland China. These are located within the center of the Chinese cosmetic industry. Our headquarters are in Hangzhou, which is known as China's Silicon Valley, and is also the home to Alibaba, China's Amazon, everybody knows. And Beijing is the home of NMPA, which is known as the Chinese FDA. Our office there ensures ZMUni is at the forefront of influencing policy changes in China. Shanghai places ZMUni at the center of international trade. And also our Shandong office keeps ZMUni where the NMPA frequently asks us to host industry training sessions. And we are a one-stop shop for cosmetic regulation services. And here are some of the things we do. We are legally qualified to act as Chinese responsible person for cosmetic products. And we do general cosmetic filing and special cosmetic registration, packaging and labeling reviews, quality management system services, and adverse cosmetic reaction monitoring and evaluation. And finally, we offer a suite of after-sale services so that our clients can rest like easy, that they can be the first to know about the latest law and guidelines from the NMPA. They're definitely going to know the first, because we'll keep them updated. So today, we have 3 main topics to cover. First, cosmetic definitions. And also cosmetic registration and filing procedures. Finally, some exciting topics, very hot topics that have opened new opportunities in the Chinese market. For example, the new IECIC, like animal testing exemptions and so on. Okay, so it's time to talk about CSAR. No, not Russian kind. CSAR, CSAR, stands for the Cosmetic Supervision and Administration Regulation. And it was implemented on the 1st of January this year by the NMPA. The changing of this law, CSAR, will have a revolutionary impact on the cosmetics industry because it means all the supporting measures, standards, and guidelines have also had to be updated, amended, or republished it. And legal teams across China have had to work hard to keep up. The implementation of SAR, CSAR, is to better ensure quality and safety and promote import growth. A big concept change is that previously the NMPA was only concerned with product safety, but now efficacy and safety have the same importance, and you will be required to submit evidence of those both aspects for any product you want to sell in China. Okay, that's important. And CSAR, SAR, will focus on the following pillars: advanced concepts of supervision, encouragement of innovation, utilization of technical approaches, and emphasis on scientific investigations are all reflected in the regulations, which will deeply influence the development of both cosmetic products and new ingredients. With all these new challenges and opportunities, everyone involved should get prepared. It's a big change, okay? The first changes came into effect on the 1st of May this year, 2021, and have introduced new regulations such as cosmetic filing and registration, cosmetic ingredient registration, safety assessment, and efficacy claims. That's the big list in blue, you can see on this page. However, there are still more changes coming. These changes are going through public consultation, and it's estimated that this will be formally released at the end of this year, which is 2021 this year. And you need to know about those, but you don't need to worry about it. Don't worry, ZMUni will keep you updated whenever there are any changes. And if you want to send us an email, we will forward the webinar summary to you later, okay? When discussing cosmetic regulations, there are few terms it's important to understand. By the way, just a reminder, if you have any questions during this webinar, please leave a message in Zoom's chat, in the chat window. We will collect the questions and answer them at the end of our webinar, okay? I'll just open this chat, okay? So the cosmetic definition remains unchanged and defines cosmetics as chemical industrial products for daily use that are applied on our human body surfaces, such as skin, hair, nails, lips, and such, so on. Application methods include rubbing, spraying, or other similar techniques for the purpose of cleansing, protecting, beautifying, or grooming. We'll talk about it. Let's break it down first. So these are the 3 key points, and they are not as easy as they look, okay? So cosmetics must be applied to human body surfaces. If it does not touch the body, it does not count. For example, air fresheners are out. They are not cosmetics. It can't be applied to like damaged skin, mucous membrane. That's treated as medicine, not cosmetic, okay? So if it goes into the mouth, it probably is not cosmetic. That's the definition. So, but there is an exception. You say toothpaste. Toothpaste is going to the mouth, but toothpaste is actually regulated similarly to general cosmetic. So we can help you with that. Okay. Rubbing, spraying, and similar application methods fall under the definition of cosmetics. Injections and things like are swallowed or ingested they do not. Cosmetics can be used for cleansing, protecting, beautifying, grooming. You can see it on the screen. If your product claims to treat diseases or illnesses, it won't count as a cosmetic. Antibacterial products are not treated as cosmetics either. But soaps find themselves in a special place. Their soaps are different. So basic soap, for example, if you use the soap for washing your hand, washing body, this kind of basic soap is cosmetic, but it can be sold straight to China without needing to be filed under SAR, CSAR. They are just basic. You can just straight send it to China and sell them. However, any soap that claims effects or special cosmetics, for example, whitening, if you say it's whitening soap or spot removal, this kind of soap will need to apply for registration certificate. They're special. So that comes cosmetics classification. So cosmetics come into two classifications. They're either special or general. Special cosmetics require pre-market registration, and general cosmetics require pre-market filing. Filing is very similar to the notification process used by the EU, and the two terms can be used interchangeably. Registration is similar to filing, but will take longer to process. Okay, that's the difference. Which category does your product come under? Well, if your product claims to help with spot removal or whitening, sun screening, hair dyeing, hair perming, anti-hair loss, or is claiming a new efficacy, then it is a special. Those few. Now, everything else is a general cosmetic. So apart from the special, everything else is considered as general cosmetics, such as skin, hair, or nail care products, makeup, or perfumes. So basically, this category is for cosmetics that have well-known low-risk effects. With the new regulations, 5 product types that used to be special cosmetics have changed the category. First, depilating and deodorant products are now classified as general cosmetics. They have changed. While breast beauty, slimming, and hair growth products have entered a 5-year transition period, after which they will no longer be considered as cosmetic. And they will be classified as medicine and will fall under the appropriate regulations. So they're not cosmetic anymore. Note that anti-hair loss and anti-hair break cosmetics will be treated very different. They are different. So those 5 products with an existing old registration certificate, which means that you have already registered before, then they have been given maximum 5-year extension until the end of 2025, which is the 31st December 2025, about 4 years range. Well, at the end of this period, they cannot import it or sold anymore. Okay. Next. So now let's talk about the key parts when preparing a cosmetic products for sale in China. What is that? So first, filing persons and registrant. This is you. This is you, filing person or registrant. Whether you are filing person or registrant, it's based on whether your product is a general or special cosmetic that you're looking to sell in China. And this is similar to the responsible person under EU regulation. Your obligations will be to apply for any registration or filing, and you must be able to produce the product by yourself or can entrust other manufacturers to produce it for you. The last point is the most important. You will be responsible for the quality, safety, and efficacy of the products yourself. Okay, that's the change. And any applicant will have to have a cosmetic quality management system. We call it or we'll call it later, and have set up an adverse reaction monitoring and evaluation system, and must have appointed a responsible person who will be in charge of the quality and safety of your cosmetics. This person must have been like more than 5 years experience in the field of cosmetic regulation, okay? Must more than 5 years experience. And the other party is the Chinese responsible person. This is required by law. The Chinese RP, they have to be a corporate body, juridical person, or corporation. They are not just a single natural person, but they are companies, okay? And this company will register or file your products in your name. Will carry out adverse reaction monitoring, and if something goes wrong, will handle product recalls. It's important. So they will also cooperate with supervision and inspection under the local regulatory authorities. Please pay attention here. This next point might be the most important of this presentation. Let's see. So choose the right partner to be your responsible person in China is absolutely essential. And why? Well, because if you later want to change your Chinese responsible person, Chinese RP, to someone else, then you must ask the previous responsible person to sign an informed consent. So divorce will be hard. So to make sure you have the best relationship possible, take the extra time up front. You spend more time to agree on responsibilities and obligations before proceeding. You just take more time to make sure everything's right. You can work together and the person can handle all your products in China, because as our experience, sometimes when you sell your products in the other places, might be extended huge amount when you're going to sell in the Chinese market. So you need to be careful with that and make sure everything is correct for you. Okay. So with the key definitions out of the way, let's get into some of the details of the filing process. It's a big list. This is a brief flowchart of filing procedures for imported general cosmetics. We can divide the process into 3 stages. So in stage 1, the filing person shall authorize a Chinese responsible person. It will take a little time to accomplish, but once we have the account, we don't need to do it again on your next application. At the same time, your company's qualification documents and the product information required for official testing in China can be prepared in parallel. Okay, the left and the right, they can be parallel. Okay, in stage 2, let's take a look. You can send the samples to us for testing. And in the meantime, other documents like the certificate of free sales and manufacturing agreement required for filing dossier can be prepared. Templates will be provided to make sure the process goes smoothly. If you subcontract your manufacturing elsewhere, they require their own dossier. Okay, they have to require their, they get their own dossiers. Okay, in stage 3, after the testing and filing dossiers are finished, the dossier will be submitted online. Then after it has passed the local NMPA format review, then ZMUni will let you know once the NMPA have published your product information on their website. After this, you can export the products to China through custom clearance as general trade. That's it. The period from when we start the project to receiving NMPA's approval takes about 3 months. So good cooperation with each other is the key. Okay, the NMPA will sometimes organize a technical review after we pass the format review. Okay, just need to know that. And during this time, we will follow and handle any problems that may occur until the product pass the NMPA technical review. Okay. Let me just have a drink. The process of registering special cosmetic is very similar as the general filing, but the timescales are increased very big, like they increased significantly as extra steps are required. To compare with the filing process, the main difference is stage 3, where the NMPA technical review and approval stage must be passed before the release of the registration certificate. Also, more testing items are required for registration. So the total registration process takes about 8 to 13 months. But the documents required are same as the filing process. They are similar. Before we go into any further details of the process, I just want to remind you that we are here to help you throughout the process and beyond. Okay, let's take a look at the documents required during stage 1 as I highlight important changes and the application content which is needed at step 1 in the regulations. So here, item 1 to 5 are about filing or registering the company application, and item 6 to 8, you can see here, are to the individual cosmetic products filing and registering procedures. And these two can be prepared in parallel, okay? So they can happen at the same time. First up, let's talk about the authorization letter. So about authorization letter, you must sign it. You must sign it. Then notary will witness the signature and your stamp on the authorization letter. After which you will need to obtain an apostille. The notarized documents must be legalized by the Chinese embassy. The important thing you need to remember with this one is that it must be the original letter that is sent with your registration, because the NMPA won't accept a copy. Many people make this mistake. Has to be original letter, okay? Next is resume. It's similar to when you applied for your first job. The resume must be required for the person you have appointed in charge of quality and safety must be submitted to the NMPA. It must include all relevant education and work experience. The person must be able to show more than 5 years experience in cosmetic production or quality and safety management, okay? And they must demonstrate a knowledge of Chinese cosmetic regulations. Those are the requirement. Okay, let's talk about quality management system, or we call QMS next. one of the larger changes introduced in the new regulations, this QMS. The filing person must demonstrate that the QMS meets all Chinese local laws and can ensure the quality of the products. It must reflect the actual situation truthfully and objectively and include details such as supplier selection, raw material acceptance, production and quality control, product retention samples, and so on. Please remember that with the new rules, like this year new rules, this is now your responsibility as the brand owner. Okay, that's the change. Okay. So there are different sets of documents depending on whether your product is self-produced or contract-produced. And if your product contains self-produced and contract-out products, then you get to submit both sets of the documents. This I just need to remember. Another new requirement is the ACR monitoring and evaluation system. This is to demonstrate that you have a plan in case something goes wrong. The NMPA wants to be sure that you have a monitoring system with sufficient collection channels and frequency. This is so you can identify a problem and that you have ability to evaluate any adverse reaction that development. If you cannot do this yourself, then you can entrust a professional institution to do this for you, okay? And finally, that you have communication mechanisms in place between you and your Chinese responsible person, Chinese RP, so you can handle any emergencies. To complete the process, you will need your ISO or GMP or QMS certificate. And here are two examples. The left is handed out by the local government. You can see here the example. That's from the left is the local government. And the right one is issued by Intertech. It's a certification body. Okay. So you can use either. Either of them are okay, but only one issued by a local authority or government will let you avoid animal testing. This is very important because I know that lots of European cosmetics, like most of them, don't do any animal testing. And now is the time that you can start to enter the Chinese market, but you need to provide those proof certificate, and that's how you do it. Okay, next is product classification code. Let's see. So the product classification code is new. This is new. You will choose the code according to the details of your product. Okay, let's take a look. For example, if I had a hair dye that is applied to the hair for normal users, that is a cream that I rinse off, my code would be 01-01-03-01-01. In Efficacy claim application part, you group these three categories, the letter code on the top row. In the yellow chat, this A, B, 3. If you chose this AB3, ABC, it's a new Efficacy cosmetic. It looks easy, but there are a couple of surprises. Let's take a look. First is that sunscreen products for children or infants cannot be applied to the lips. Weirdly specific, but definitely a bad idea. It's not a good idea. Next, deodorant can't be applied to hands or feet. Or it's an antibacterial product or a medicine. So this is those two are exceptions. Okay. Finally, some categories can be difficult to classify as a glance. For example, one of our first clients to go through the new system had a cream to be applied to the neck. Which code would you have to pick? Would you have picked? Well, full marks if you pick the torso, which is trunk, trunk, torso. The one, this one was not too difficult, but others are much more so. It's not difficult. We at ZMUni will assist you in getting this right, so don't need to worry about it. Every code in each category is not necessarily unique. For example, the dosage of a facial mask is including O2 liquid and 10 mask, isn't it? O2 liquid, 10 mask. So the code will be O2/10. Okay, O2/10. Okay, let's talk about formula and raw material specification. Warning, the product classification code will look difficult at the first glance, but it actually is straightforward. So the next slide looks complicated, but I promise you it will be. So here we go. This is the cosmetic formulation templates. I know that looks quite complex, isn't it? But if you have experience importing cosmetics to China before, or you often do the importing to China a lot, it will look quite similar. It's not that difficult, actually. So with the new regulations, you will now also be required to list the source of each raw material along with this trade name. And the other new addition is the raw material safety information file. This file is so complex that is being rolled out in 3 stages. In the first stage, not much has changed. It still maintains the same. Apart from listing the source and trade name of each raw material, the rules have remained the same. And the ingredients are subject to special requirements as specified in the Safety and Technical Standards for Cosmetics 2015. Okay. The next period, beginning January 1st next year, which is 2022, requires a raw material safety information file to be submitted for specific ingredients, okay, specific ingredients. If your material is used for any of the following raw material safety information file, must be submitted through the NMPA website, those on the screen. This file is more complicated than the COA, SPEC, we know, or MSDS. Finally, on 1st January 2023, which is 2 years away, the transition period will come to an end, and all ingredients will require a safety information file. Lastly, packaging labels and what? Leaflets, yes. So the compliance of product labels with the regulations is very important, as this is the part of the product that is the most prominent and noticeable, both for the consumers and for the authorities. All packaging labels and leaflets must be translated into Chinese and submitted to the NMPA. This includes external labels and internal leaflets. Okay. The Chinese label can be either directly printed or added as a sticker. It must not use any medical terms or indicate any curative effect. Okay. However, be careful as changes are coming. The final version of the new regulation cosmetic label administration methods was released on the 1st May 2021, which is this year. The regulation lists very specific requirements for labeling cosmetic products placed on the Chinese market. It also provides a series of principles that must be followed when advertising cosmetic products. Okay, these include prohibition on the use of any false or exaggerated or misleading descriptions as to the efficacy of such products, among others. Additionally, claims about any function or efficacy of cosmetic products must be supported by sufficient scientific evidence. We will talk more about this soon. Here is a question for you to consider. If claims like whitening or sunscreen are on the original label, can you cover it with the Chinese label and to file it as a general cosmetic? Can you? Well, the answer is obviously not, isn't it? The product claims in China must be exactly the same as it is in its original language. So if it's a nourishing product, then it shall be filed as general cosmetic. Claiming special effects in China requires all the additional testing and reports that implies. Okay. It's time to talk about the stage 2 documents. It does get easier from here. Okay, first up is the FSC. So generally, you will want to sell your product locally before applying to sell it in China. To do this, you will need to apply for a certificate of free sale from either local industry association or government. The wording of this document is super important. So it must say either are freely sold or have been freely sold. The terms of can be sold or permitted to be sold will not be accepted. Okay, this is important. You need to remember from NMPA. And finally, from this new law, that you can formulate a product, especially for the Chinese market. So if you have never sold in your local place before, this year you can sell to Chinese market by the very special procedures without selling locally first. But just be aware that this filing dossier will be very, very difficult and very complicated. Okay. Okay, next. There have been some changes to the quality control specification. An example of the specification of cosmetic form will be included in the notes after this webinar and can be also can be found on our website, ZMUni.com. And I am pasting the link on the chat now, okay? 请发链接1, please. Okay, thank you. So this is, you can take a look on our chat. My colleagues have sent it to you, the example. And the example of the manufacturing process for a process form will also be included in the notes after this webinar, and it can also be found on ZMUni.com. And I'm going to paste in this link on the chat as well. Okay, 请发链接2, please. Nice, thank you very much. So by the way, just to mention about it, I'm sorry that these slides are very complex. But please don't worry. You can pick up a copy on our website using the link I'm just putting in chat. Our website is under development right now, as may show up the unsecured. Sometimes people mentioned to me earlier, but if you prefer, you can also pick up the documents from our blog address on UK servers, which I'm just going to send it. So our blog is this link. So in case your browser can't open that, okay? But don't worry about the unsecure. We're just we'll fix it very soon. Thank you. Okay, next. I'll get asked this a lot. I got asked this question very often, but unfortunately, European CSAR cannot be used in China as the requirements are differently. They are different. This technical guideline came into effect on May this year, so a few months ago, with a transition period. Currently, you can submit a simplified report. From 3 years later, which is from May 2024, a full report will be required. So that's the difference, will be changed. Okay. And finally, your Chinese responsible person must submit an annual report to the NMPA in the first quarter of each year. So like from January into March, those is the time that your Chinese RP has to, do the annual report. And if your Chinese RP, during that period, you might remind them if they forget it. Or hopefully they'll never forget it. Okay, this will cover the product's production, imports, any suspensions during the period, as well as self-inspection for product compliance with laws and regulations, mandatory national standards and technical specification. ZMUni will keep you up to date on the progress. We will now talk about animal testing exemption, cosmetic efficacy testing requirement, and IECIC, those hot topics. Okay, let's talk about animal testing first. This is finally possible to enter the Chinese market without having to conduct animal testing. We just talked about earlier. However, there are certain conditions that you must meet. So though you can enter from this year, but it still have some difficult. You need to meet those requirements before you can do that. Let's take a look. So first, if your products enter Chinese market without animal testing exemption, then your product must be general cosmetic. So it only applies to general cosmetics. Okay. Second, your QMS certificate must be issued by a local government. Okay. Just remember this time the animal testing exemption condition, you have to use your government QMS certificate, because in China, NMPA won't accept the just like authorities one. So this is quite strict, So next is your product must not be intended for infants or children. Your product must not use new ingredients that are still in their safety monitoring period. So in the range of the Chinese NMPA have the ingredients that you have to, not in that range, you have to be the ingredients are already in their files. Luckily, it's getting increased. Okay, so let's take a look at the last one, the filing person. This is about the filing person, the Chinese RP, like Chinese responsible person, and the manufacturer must not have bad records in China before. Okay, now this is also very strict. No, you can't have any bad records or any mistakes happen before. And that's the requirement condition. Okay, the rest of the process is the same as we discussed earlier about general cosmetic filing. Okay. Another hot topic is that the NMPA now requires all product effects to be proven. Okay, you will need to submit a summary of efficacy evaluation to the online platform specified by the NMPA during the filing and registration process. So efficacy evaluation methods must be scientific, reasonable, and feasible to sufficiently prove the claim's efficacy. This requirement is going through a transition period, and products that are registered must submit a claim evaluation summary before May 1st, 2023. So in about 2 years. From January 1st, 2022, which is next year, this will need to be submitted during registration. Okay, so still have a bit of time. Okay, the following 4 methods can be used to prove the efficacy of your product. First is literature or research data, which is publicly published technical literature or international laws and the regulations currently in fact, or unpublished research results that fully support the product's efficacy claims. Second is the human ethics evaluation test, which is conducted on human and clinically proves the product's claims. Please pay attention to the technical requirements when relying on this method, okay? Third is consumer in-use test, which refers to the process of effectively collecting, sorting out, and analyzing the consumer's product using results. The last is laboratory test, which includes but is not limited to animal tests. In virtual tests on organs, tissues, cells, microorganisms, physical and chemical tests, extra. The question is, which methods do you need for your product? Question. Generally, if your product claims to be moisturizing or hair conditioning, or you are claiming the efficacy of a specific ingredient, then you can choose any method you like. There are a couple of exceptions. If the product claims 24-hour moisture, 24-hour moisture, then it's a qualification claim because it's a 24-hour. The test shall be conducted to prove the claim. So if your product claims to be anti-wrinkle, gentle, non-irritating, or claims qualification such as time, we just talk about 24-hour or whatever time, statistical data, then you will not be able to only rely on literature or research data. One test is necessary. The following effects must be proved with a clinical human efficacy evaluation test. The top 3 in orange must be tested by the NMPA approved laboratory in China. Okay, so the 3 whitening and sport, those 3 has to be NMPA approved lab in China. The bottom 3, those in blue, can be tested locally or internally. Those are less strict. Any completely new efficacies will be assessed on a case-by-case basis. And finally, any efficacy that also makes a specific claim, such as being suitable for sensitive skin or being a tear-free formulation, will need to go through one of the methods indicated here. Okay, take a look at this page. Okay, there are a couple of instances where you don't need to prove evidence of efficacy claim, though. First, if the effect can be directly identified through the sense, like a sight, you can see it, or smell, or similar. If your hair changes color, we know the product has worked. The second case covers product effects achieved through entirely physical methods like covering, rubbing, extra. For example, physical exfoliation, whitening by physical coverage, physical removal of blackhead extra. Please note that in this case, the physical method must be specified on the label. Okay, it must be. I guess you're interested in which institution can conduct efficacy testing. So whitening and spot removing sunscreen, anti-hair loss, and new efficacies must be conducted in an NMPA approved laboratory. For other functions, you can test the products in any laboratories, including your own labs in a factory, okay? So others are all right. Only those special has to be NMPA approved laboratories. But please note that the report needs to be scientific, reasonable, and feasible, of course, to meet the purpose of claim substantiation, okay? The 2021 version, which is this year's new version of IECIC, has been implemented on the 1st of May, which is about 3 months ago. The total number of existing cosmetic ingredients in China is increased from the original 8,783 to 8,965. So the biggest change is adding the ingredients' highest historical use concentration. It can be used as the supporting data for simplified safety assessment during the transition period. But these concentrations are not evaluated yet. Its origin is ingredients concentrations, which were used in the previous registered special cosmetics as filed. Other changes include adding some ingredients and deleting some prohibited ingredients. Sorry, prohibited ingredients. I always speak that words wrong. Sorry. Are listed in Standard 2015. And correcting ingredients naming errors according to international IECIC names of ingredients, like ceramide. There are 17 ingredients are prohibited in the box below. You can take a look. Okay. So what we can do for you when you are preparing to entering the Chinese market? Well, ZMUni provides cosmetics compliance and quality management solutions. We provide a comprehensive range of services for beauty and personal care products to ensure regulatory compliance. And just a moment. So partnering with ZMUni helps brands speed up international growth, optimize the quality and safety of your supply chain, and reduce total costs as well. We can help you understand your regulatory obligations to achieve compliance. Our services is in the cosmetic compliance field includes those registration and filing of domestic, like Chinese own brand and imported cosmetic products, safety assessments of cosmetic and ingredients, registration and filing of new cosmetic ingredients, ingredients and labeling reviews, customer clearance solutions. In the quality management field, we provide registrant and filing person services, QMS services, Chinese responsible person agency services, and Chinese responsible person ACR services. So those are all our services that can provide to you if you need.